Looks good. All right, we're hot. You studying for a test over there, Mike?
I'm writing crap down so I remember. I don't remember things well, so if I don't write them down, I'm going to forget them, and then it's gone.
Excuses. Holy crap! This Taylor Swift, Benny Johnson fans are not happy with me right now.
Hey, Matt, congratulations on your success, brother. And I really appreciate you giving, both sides, and just free speech, the opportunity to have a platform, dude.
Got it. You got it. Thanks for everything you've done for this country, Eli. We'll talk next time. Tell Jen hello, and I'll have this ready in a couple of hours, and you can share it and take a look. Thank you, man.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Bye-bye. God, this song gets me fired up. I just freaking love that song, dude. I'll send it to you. Still Point, such a good song. I don't know if you were listening.
Oh no, I was turning it on.
I mean, hands down, I would say that that's probably one of my top 10 songs of all time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just especially for lifting. It's just like, just getting the blood flowing, dude, and just hitting the weights. It's like as good as Metallica or, whatever.
I'm weird. I listen to some weird shit when...
Yeah, so do I.
when I work out. And most of it's not like something that's going to pump you up pretty well.
Dude, I have had Wilson Phillips play on my track when I'm lifting. I've had Celine Dion come on, and people are like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "It's my playlist. I've got like 50,000 songs on my playlist, and whatever comes on, I like."
I live off of hate and discontent. I don't need music to.
That's my boy. That's my boy, Blue. How about you, Amy? We just start the show and just pause it and say, "What do you listen to when you work out?"
I listen to a lot of techno music, and it sounds really weird, but I like techno. Like, I don't know if it's called techno. Yeah, I like I like to run. So I need like a certain beat to run to. Does that make sense?
Wow. Do you listen to Ben Shapiro rap?
Oh my gosh, I
did listen to that.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Benny's doing one. We might have to watch the Benny show tonight because it's getting some love. All right, let's go. Here we go. First Talk, Feathers 54. Welcome to your first live show. It'll be interesting. You'll either love it or you hate it. Either way, we don't care. We just want you to stick around. By the way, Olivia is absolutely, completely freaking out of her mind stoked. We've gained like 60 followers on YouTube in the last couple hours. We have a video going viral, and we're going to break 1,000 tonight, guaranteed. We're now at 981. You remember, we were just like 930 last night. So like E. Jean Carroll video is going viral on YouTube, and people are eating it up. And the new Benny video is getting some love too. So Olivia's not here tonight, which sucks, but we'll be back.
You would do it on the night she's not here.
Yeah, of course. Well, Uncle Stumpy's probably going to call in too. No.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreeny.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show.
So we know which one's which.
Honest, direct, unfiltered.
So
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday
It's
at
too
8
bright.
p.m.
Take it
Eastern.
down one.
We can agree. We can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Jason, take it down one. It's a little too hot. Just one down. Just one.
Oh,
Just give me one.
I have to text him. Let me text him.
It's okay. You don't forget it. It's Amy, look at me. It's perfect. It's fine. Let's leave it. You look wonderful. You just need to scoot back just a little bit and pull your mic backwards because you're a little too close. There it is. All right. You look good. You're in focus. Amy's struggling because I gave her a front light, and a front light is absolutely crucial when you're doing this show. So everyone's got to look damn good. It's important. I can't look this good and have anyone not match the quality. So,
And when we're done with the lighting, he's going to give us a lesson on the paint and the color schemes and all the greatness.
yeah, I'm pretty good at that. That was one of our first times we met, and I'm like mauve or something. He looks at me like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we painted the house mauve," and he's like, looking at me like I'm a homosexual, which I was in the Navy.
Yes.
And I am willing to learn. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Listen, we said it. We have a YouTube video which is coming in hot over on YouTube, and I don't know what's going on.
Whoa.
What's up, man?
Oh, you got called out for interrupting Tom for watching another video from this random guy called Matt talking about Taylor Swift. So how dare you start a live while he's watching a different video?
Well, listen, the good news is that's going to be here. So that's good news. Here it is, folks. I mean, this is pretty exciting. This is after YouTube, when we were on the precipice of 1,000 followers, and then they throttled me. That is officially ended. We've gained almost 50 followers in the last couple hours. The E. Jean Carroll video.
I haven't seen it yet. I gotta watch it.
It's now at 1,000 views, which is ridiculous because I don't even have 1,000 followers. So that, folks, viral is, if it exceeds your follower count, that's viral for you. So for me, I mean, some people are like, that's not viral, you loser. It's like, hey, dipshit. I understand what you're saying. What I'm telling you is viral for my channel, okay? And I've had videos go to 17 million, so you can suck duck egg blue, okay? There was one time I was walking uphill in the snow both ways, and okay. So it's really exciting to see because we're going to be monetized by the end of tonight, and that's huge because YouTube actually pays very well. And once you're monetized, they promote you, and once they promote you, that's when people grow. It's that first 1,000. Once you break that, then it's sky's the limit. So I have a feeling we're going to do very well on YouTube. We've got the code, so we're excited. Just wanted to let you know. By the way, one other thing. I told you how to let you know, and everyone was wondering, and then we can get started with the show. Not trying to pimp you too much. By the way, we've organized, like, if you want to now go into the shop and you want to hit new releases and say, hey, I just want to know what's new. Well, go to the new releases, and you can see like all the latest new release stuff that's been just released. And then it only shows you like the top 30, which is great. But here's the thing that's exciting. This sold out. This is our second running of this. This will be our third. I bought 10 the first time, bought 25 the next time. I have bought 100 of these things now.
Oh, nice.
So I just was like, screw it. I'm putting a couple grand in this, and I've got plenty. They will be shipping, as you can see, on February 12th, because I'm not going to ship, 20 here, 40 there. I'm just going to ship them all at once. If you have not done, this will more than likely be the last run with the Documents of Freedom sleeve. The publisher told me that there's not going to be more. But the good news is that Jason from PFC Flags, we are making a wooden sleeve. And it's going to have the American flag etched out. It's going to be stained and polished. You're going to be able to fit all 3 books in there. And there's also going to be more books coming, like The Common Cause from George Washington. We'll have the Gettysburg Address, the Articles of Confederation, all sorts of cool stuff coming. So we'll have multiple renditions of this. So this is the book. This is the series. It has the Bill of Rights, Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. They are small and awesome, and figured you guys would want to see that. So they're back in stock. You can go to the site and do it. Unfortunately, I'm not doing 10% off on them. And the reason why is that I've got to I got to cover the shipping cost. I got to cover the box cost and the overall tax because I'm in Virginia and there's tax on all of that stuff. And then here's what they look like.
Yunkin.
Yeah, thank you, Virginia. So, yes, I've got Punisher over there too. So yeah,
And holy cannoli.
Oh, and Thomas, there you're talking about the Punisher. You mean
I think just
that
like one
logo?
click down.
You and I can
Yeah,
talk. All
Just
right,
like a
let's
little
get to it. We got a lot to do. Amy,
Is that better?
yeah, that's perfect. You look
Are you
great.
just saying that though, or is it perfect?
No, you look good. No, I just
No, you just be insecure all night. Like,
you
it's
look
never.
really good, and the lighting
Okay.
looks fantastic. You
Cool.
should be
Thank
very
you.
happy. You look 10 years younger.
Just need that facelift. Thanks, honey.
So now you look like 46.
I'm
Oh,
glad we're over
F.
here.
F
You.
you, buddy. Listen,
I'm
you
not
son
even
of a
46.
you motherless hooker. I can't believe you said that, Matt. No, I'm teasing. You know I'm teasing. I do it because you get insecure about it. It's funny. And Livia's not here. And I got to pick on somebody. And Mike's
can pick on
too much of a woman to pick on.
He is like when he does
Oh.
jokes, they just go right over my head. I just can't.
Literally. It's not hard. All you got to do is throw a level. And you're going to miss him every time. So, all right. Listen, welcome. Don't Unfriend Me Show. Matt Spear. This is Amy Robinson and Mike Martinez, hosts of the Don't Unfriend Me Show. It's the first time three of us has been on together, but without.
Ooh,
Yeah.
It's the first time. So usually we have Leroy or Olivia here. So maybe they're together.
Ooh. What kind of shenanigans are going on tonight?
No, I don't have V-necks T-shirts, but I can add them. I mean, all you guys got to do is ask. If there's something you want from the shirt, all you got to do is ask. Okay. So we've got an interesting evening tonight. We want to cover the topics that we're going to cover, but there was also a pretty controversial show that I did with Benny Johnson as the target, and I don't think it would be a bad thing for us to kind of watch it and talk about it. It's not extremely long. We haven't done that in a while, and it just came out, so a lot of people didn't get to see it. But I think it'll add some conversation. We've got two other topics that we're really focusing on, and Amy and Mike are both bringing these topics to you. Pretty simple, not too difficult. First one, I'm getting the graphic for us right now, is Nikki Haley wants to hit HVTs. How did you like that? Little
Yes.
little HVTs. I couldn't make a small s, so I had to put apostrophe, which is wrong, but I know that. Israel shares a UN plot to attack. And then Unalive, can we stop this shit? And that's just me talking about people who talk about, oh, one of these days this person's going to unalive themselves.
Wait, what?
That's what they're saying now. Instead of killing yourself,
It's unalive.
Which unalive isn't even a word.
Well, I know why though. It's because of YouTube, because you can't say what it's actually called on YouTube. You will get banned.
I do it all the
one of
time.
the-
You can't say suicide.
I say suicide every single night when I talk about Veterans Crisis. I've never.
I think it's different if you're saying in that context. But if you're talking about someone who, if you're talking about like a particular person, because I watch a lot of crime stuff too, and they always say unalive because they lose their monetization for that video or they'll get banned completely.
It's so interesting because I don't know whether it's because in the contents that I talk about suicide, but I always talk about suicide awareness constantly. It's weird, but let me just say this. A lot of things on the internet are wives' tales, right? They're not real. They're not true. I find it very hard to believe because I have mentioned, I can't tell you how many people I've lost in the last 2 years or 3 years, and I never shy away from it. I don't shy away from the root cause. I can't stand that. But either way, first of all, you should use a word other than unalive because it's not a real word.
But we make up words all the time. That's the
Yeah.
new cool thing.
But alive, the opposite of live is dead.
Mm-hmm.
We already have a word. So if you're going to talk about somebody posthumously, why can't you just say dead?
Because I feel like it's
Right.
going to be the next Netflix special.
Oh,
is
boy.
the Unalives.
The unalives, right? Exactly. Instead of the Walking Dead, it's going to be the Walking Unalives.
Yes.
That makes sense. Instead of Dead Bang with that Don Johnson movie, be Unalive Bang.
It'll be set in Washington, D.C. It's going to
Instead
be
of Grateful Dead Heads, it's going to be Unalive Heads.
Yeah.
It's an unalive party. Who could ask for more? Everybody's coming. Leave your body at the door. Leave your body and soul at the door.
I feel like it's going to catch on now. And
I
Little
like
Oingo
that.
Boingo.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Can't say die on YouTube. Die. Can't say bomb on an airplane. Bomb, bomb. What if I said bombardier? Yeah. So you know what? Listen to me. Between Mike and I, except for the space that's between us, if you want to know how many people we have lost to veteran suicide, I promise you that if we were just to name everybody we knew, I don't even know if we have the full time in an hour and a half. I just don't know if I do. It's just incredible. We've got to stop not talking about it. Mm-hmm. It's got to be addressed. And if you think that any one of those people that we know who have taken their life, and that's one thing I say, I usually very seldom say suicide unless it's veteran crisis or suicide awareness or whatever. But I can't name any of them that in their goodbye letter or in the communication they left said, because Mike on the Don't Unfriend Me show said the big S word, I decided to finally end it. I didn't know what it was until he said it. Then I was like, what's that word? And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, the final solution, the final ending. Now I know what I need to do so I can carry on to Valhalla. Mm-hmm. I'm going to survive some of the most rancid and just self-destructive things in the world. And then I'm going to hear Mike use the S word and I'm going to go ahead and take my own life. That is stupid.
Yeah. And even all of the people, all these survivors that I've ever heard of or seen stuff about, they've all said it after and joked about it, which is part of their healing. Mm-hmm. So why would you not talk about it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Because I know even the therapy that I just went to, one of the guys he shot himself in the head. Somehow he survived, but he was the first one to be like, yep, I tried it. This is what I did. This is how, this is why. But he was the most calm, collected, amazing individual there.
Yeah.
But it's because he's been able to tell his story and reconnect with his wife and get it out there. So if you want to sit there and say like, oh, you shouldn't say that or you can't say that stuff, that's how you heal.
Yeah.
You got to get it out there. And if you don't, guess what? You're going to bottle it up and you're going to try it a different way.
Yep.
So
that's
figure out whatever way you got to get it out.
So I think I understand why. On videos like this, Facebook, I can say whatever I want. Like when we were talking about the vid, I mentioned it. Facebook never hit me. Mm-hmm. They tagged my show because I was talking about it, and they had to, because if you were talking about it, they had to tag it and say this could have possible information on it that's not accurate, blah, blah, blah. And YouTube has never hit me for a word. They hit me for Donald Trump. I played 2 Donald Trump rallies, back-to-back nights, mm-hmm. and they banned me because of what he said. Then the only other time I got hurt, I got hit for COVID, where they said I was speaking disparagingly about results, and it was a complete lie. What I did is I read a comment from one of my viewers, and then I put them on frickin' blast. Like, I read it, and like I usually do with them, I was like, okay, now let me tell you why you're a complete moron. And they hit me saying that I'm a host and I have to be careful what I say. And I said, excuse me, I'm the one that went against I'm the guy you want on this show. I'm like the only one on YouTube who's actually saying things that are accurate. Why would you demonetize me? And they took down 2,000 videos. I was 7 away from 1,000 and being monetized. And my YouTube channel grew almost as fast as Facebook. And I got killed, just gone. And it's taken me 2 years now, Amy, to get it back.
It's been a long time.
And they finally, I've tried advertising. Nothing worked. And honestly, the thing that made me kick off was the Groypers. Was when I went off of whatever Fuentes.
Oh, holy crap!
What?
989.
Yeah, I told you.
Another.
Yeah, Fuentes. When I went after him, all the Groypers came in and they started pushing my show, which they don't screw around with me anymore because I don't know why, but they don't. But it's interesting. Anyway, all right. So we got a ton to do. So here's what I want. I need your guys' opinion. We got a 12-minute show. Watch the show or focus on the 2 topics. Which one do you want to do first? Because I want to get your opinion on the show and I want to hear what you think. And I think it's important enough. And it's okay to cover our own stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Are you guys okay with that, or do you want to wait? And be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm cool watching. Yeah, no, I want to see it because I haven't seen it yet. So I'd like to see it.
Okay, Mike was going to say no, so thanks a lot for covering me, because I didn't think he was going to say yes. So
He doesn't
Absolutely
understand
not.
how it
You're
works
not allowed
yet.
to promote yourself. Like
I'm not promoting myself. Yes, a little bit. All right, let's give it a listen, because this is a good one. If you haven't seen it, I think it breaks it down. And I want your thoughts. I want your opinion. Please give it to me. Give it to me.
What is going on?
Ah, sugar muffin. You gotta make fun of me. Olivia's not here to make fun of me.
I mean,
Stop.
don't you forget that every time.
Stop it. Hey Nation, Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me Show. You know, the other day I made a little video. Let me know if the volume's okay. In the beginning, I
Good.
just poked fun at Benny Johnson just a little bit. And I started out my video with, hey guys, what's going on, man? It's Benny Johnson, your boy Benny. And,
Is Benny from Boston?
you know, if you didn't like that one, which some of you didn't, you're going to hate this one. 15 seconds. We'll talk about the Taylor Swift psyop that Benny Johnson is espousing all over his network. Be right back.
Do you want the truth?
Do it, but it's going to change in just a few seconds. Watch the photo.
Oh, did you get your AI going on
No, I went in
from Photoshop?
manual. I know. I'm sorry. It says blackish. It says, hell yeah, I'm black and I like Trump. And then he's eating a piece of chicken. Got a Colt 45.
Colt 40, yep.
And then on the TV it says blackish because he's making his own rap music. Oh, and he's got a little bit of J coming out of his mouth. And the chain was on him, so that's why I did it. He had the gold chain because he's partnered up with a rapper to do a song, and good for him, man. I mean,
Who's
I don't know.
Oh, he's not doing the Tom whatever's.
No, I don't think he would. McDonald just got Ben Shapiro. I think
There you
McDonald can retire now. He's got the #1 conservative voice and on Talking Head. So all right, here we go. But down at the bottom it says, which you can't see, OB1 Ben Doggy in the Hizzle for Shizzle. Let me turn off the scroller. That'll help. All right, here we go. There we go. Obi-Wan Ben Doggy Faux Shizzo. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of this other one too. All right, let's just press play. I gotta do it. Listen, I like Benny Johnson. I do. He's a smart guy. He's good-looking guy. He's got a great family. He's God-fearing. He loves Donald Trump. Well, when it suits him. He's just ripe for being hit. And I'm gonna hit him. And the reason I'm going to hit him is it has nothing to do with who he is personally. It has to do with his actions, and it has to do with the information that he provides not being accurate and not taking accountability for it. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But when we do, we have to show some accountability, and this establishes credibility. I'm going to talk about, obviously, the Taylor Swift psyop, and everyone's talking about it. Jesse Waters talked about it 4 years ago. He talked about it in 2019. He talked about it the other night on his show. And, of course, Benny's running with it because that's most of Benny's stuff is just
So, yet again, before we even get into this, people give the government way too much credit.
Yeah, dude.
This would actually be a brilliant psyop. In order to actually do this, they're not that smart.
Yeah.
They don't think that far ahead. This would be brilliant, but they're stupid.
And the thing is people don't even know what a psyop is. Because if it's
Fair.
a psyop, you don't know it's happening. That's why it's a psyop. If it's not a psyop and you know it's happening, it is a horribly articulated plan.
Yes.
It is a plan that failed. Because that's the point of being cerebral, folks. It's cerebral. It's nuanced. If you know it's happening, it's not a psyop. Give me a break. Agitated Fox News talking points, and he puts a clip up and he comments on it, and then he throws it up on his show. And let's face it, I do the same thing, and so do a bunch of other people. But you can't lie, and that is really imperative here. Let's go ahead and look at what he said, and it's a long, long tweet. I'm going to break it down. Mikey, I read it to you. I knew Green Krantz is going to watch this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mike's like leaning in trying to read. I'm like, no, I read it to you, Mikey.
Okay, good.
I got
I
you.
can't.
Just read the bottom scroller. It says what he's going to say. I gave you Cliff Notes, baby.
I appreciate
completely
it.
top to
That's
bottom
what I
because
do.
I think I owe it to you. And Benny owes his people too. My job is to provide the most accurate information to you. And I always challenge our politicians that their job is to represent the constituents and do what the constituents want. They don't do that. Well, I am going to be loyal to you and give you the absolute truth. Here it is. His starting of the post says, by now, everyone knows Taylor Swift is a government psyop. And this is exactly why corporate media is having a meltdown about it. Well, it's not just corporate media. There are some talking heads like myself and Tim Pool and others and Ben Shapiro who have said this is a bunch of crap. He also, Tim Pool pointed out, says there's a lot wrong here. And when he says a lot, he's not exaggerating. I've got it all for you. Here it is. The first one is in regards to the Pentagon and what they said about this. So here's the story. Here's the claim. He says 4 years ago, the Pentagon's Psychological Operations Unit. Oh, boy.
Yeah, because they totally have that.
It's in Suite G on floor 11 inside the Pentagon. It's underground Pentagon. NATO about turning Taylor Swift into a social influence asset. I actually remember this story, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the straight poop on what happened. The claim about the Pentagon's Psychological Operations Unit considering Taylor Swift as a spy or a psyop was sparked by Fox News host Jesse Waters. Waters suggested that the Pentagon had thought about using Swift to combat misinformation online. This assertion was based on a clip from a NATO conference in 2019, where Swift was mentioned as an example of a social media influencer. However, this idea was not accurate. And here's the interesting thing. So all the people who are the complete Benny bros, right? The Benny bros are hitting my page, and they're coming on and they're being like, she's George Soros. I said, well, that's funny. I addressed that in the video. Did you even watch it? And then poof, they're gone. And then they come in and they go, oh, yeah, well, she's a blah, 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 blah. And I said, oh, did you watch the video? Because I addressed that. And poof, now she's gone. You know what? You're jealous of Benny. Well, that might be true. But do you want to actually address that he's lying? Poof, they're gone. So now that they can't disprove what I said, their new thing, she's a witch.
I mean, can you prove she's not?
No. And that's the greatest thing about the most logical emotional fallacy is that you can't. And it's not my job to disprove it. It's your job to prove it. If you say something that is not a common accepted norm, then it's your job to disprove it. You have to bring the burden of proof. You must bring the receipts. How is she a witch? I saw her making hand signals. Well, you know what? See this signal? They've said that this is white power for how long? Every time we do the OK symbol, any conservative is a neo-Nazi. Give me a break. Right. You guys sound like lefties. Oh, she has pentagrams. You know what? So did Ozzy Osbourne. For the love of God, my wife and I played Diablo. She has a candle back here from the video game that has a pentagram on it. It doesn't mean we're and by the way, an upside pentagram is what we're worried about, not an upside right, okay? There are good pentagrams and bad pentagrams, and the upside down one is bad. I don't know what to tell you, folks. She's not a witch. And if she is a witch, there's no such thing, so who cares?
We can confirm this. We can just call Emma Watson.
That's right.
And find out.
Akio, fact check. Okay, here we go. And has been dismissed by the Pentagon and anyone who's reputable. And that the mention of Swift in the conference was simply an example for a discussion on social media and her influence, not as a proposal for her to be an asset. The Pentagon humorously refuted these claims, and the partnership between Swift and Vote.org was clarified as an initiative and really just a focus on boosting voter turnout, not a psychological operation. Jesse Waters is now doubling down this blatant inaccuracy, as Fox News often does. Something to think about. Next, in 2019, George Soros bought her entire music catalog. Now, my daughter is a Swiftie, and when I say she's a Swiftie, I have to hear about it all the time, and I happen to know this story fairly well.
Let's
the
not
claim that in 2019 Taylor Swift's music catalog we don't talk about Taylor Swift. What's the first rule of Taylor Swift? We don't talk about Taylor Swift. Controversy would be an understatement. It involved acquisition from Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings through the purchase of Big Machine. Why do we have two windows with Matt in it? Because this is a recording and we're watching the recorded show. If you guys didn't know, I do a recorded show 3 to 4 nights a week. If you didn't know that, you're really hurting my frickin' feelings, Roxanne. You've been here forever. So we're watching it together because this is an interesting topic, and we all are going to have something to say about it because this is important. And then we're going to get to the regular topics of the night. So watch along, get some popcorn, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. Group. Swift specifically mentioned that the Soros family was involved in the financial deal. Now, she mentioned it, and this is where the story holds some credibility and truth. In the sense that he has billions of dollars, and the fact that when you go to a bank and you have a banker You're probably going to touch dollars. That's just the way this works. When you've got 20 people who own
Everything.
78% of the wealth in the United States, and most of them are bankers and investment bankers and hedge funders, you're going to run across their money. That's just the way this works. I don't know what to tell you. Most do. However, it was not George Soros personally who bought her music catalog, but rather the financing was associated with the purchase. Roxanne, I'm not freezing in the right corner. I'm just watching. See, here's me. Hi. I'm moving.
I think
I'm
she said it's paused.
No,
like
watch
when
this.
this one's paused. Yeah.
No, she said right corner. Watch.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening there. I can't move anymore. It's made by Braun. Swift's objections to the sale highlighted her lack of control over her early music recordings. And the truth of the matter is she's already released 6 renditions of her previous album, which they no longer have copyright to because they weren't made by them. She rewrote them, and my daughter has purchased all of them, and I'm having to pay for it. So let's go ahead and chalk that one up as false. In 2020, I described capitalism in here too, so I wanted to make sure it's good. You'll be like, oh wow, Matt, that actually makes sense. She came out as a raging liberal, voting for Joe Biden and being a Biden supporter after previously being politically neutral. Taylor Swift hasn't been politically neutral. There's videos that you can see when she was 16 years old, her sitting on a couch talking with her parents and her manager about her politics and wanting to come out and say something. This isn't the first time. It is true, though, that Taylor Swift publicly supported Joe Biden. Once again, a semblance of truth.
What a psyop, one that you actually know that's taking place. I don't know what I'll ever do. They're getting cleverer, and I'm very, very confused.
It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan.
2020 U.S. presidential election, marking a significant shift from her previously neutral stance that was decided upon, and you've seen this in her documentaries, that she wasn't going to get involved in the political fray. Prior to the 2000... Danny says, how do you know? Because Matt said... well, there's the article right there for you if you would like. And considering that I'm reading it to you verbatim, I don't know what else I can tell you.
And we've definitely not seen the... well, you've probably seen the documentaries. I have not seen the documentaries on Taylor Swift.
I've seen the stupid documentaries on Taylor Swift. It's not about I said so. I can show you. If you really want me to look it up, I'll look it up, Mike, if you want to. But you know what, Danny... either you're being facetious or you're serious. I challenge you. Go ahead and make a contradictory video that picks apart the things that I'm saying. I challenge you to try. And when it literally lasts 5 seconds with you like, hey man, this is Danny. I'm your boy, man. By the way, just fact check Matt on everything and he's right. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Because that's your video, bro. 2018 midterm election, Swift had been notably reticent about expressing her. And if you were backing me up, Danny, I'm so sorry. Political opinions. This changed in 2018 when she endorsed 2 Democratic candidates in Tennessee's midterm elections. And she spoke out against Senate Republican candidate Marsha Blackburn. Swift's endorsement of Joe Biden in the 2020 presidential race further underscored her active engagement in political matters. Like all celebrities, they have a right to support whomever they want. And the last thing I would do is continue to piss off this adult child. Next, in 2023, her Eras tour ranked higher revenue than the GDP of 50 countries. Wow. I didn't know that. It grossed a lot of money. Is it 50 countries? Well, no, it's a few.
Matt said so if only he had some facts that are coming up.
But once again, a little bit of truth creeps its way in. It's called capitalism, Benny, and you should support it, being a conservative Republican. The claim that Taylor Swift's Eras tour in 2023 generated higher revenue than the GDP of 50 countries is exaggerated, of course. While the tour did achieve record-breaking success, becoming the highest-grossing music tour ever with a revenue of over $1 billion, this figure does not surpass the GDP of 50 countries. The tour's immense popularity and success are notable, but they do not reach the level of outperforming the GDPs of anything other than multiple countries. And when I say multiple, it is a handful.
Whoops, receipts. If only I brought the receipts.
There you go. You got one for 60 million. You got another for 280 million, 427 million. Oh, you're done.
Never even heard of the country that has.
The Marshall Islands, Kiribati, and Tuvalu.
Where's Tuvalu?
It's if it was tickling your balls, you know.
Like I don't even.
Tuvalu. Let's see. It sounds like somewhere near Samoa. Does it sound like that to you?
I mean, it sounds like it's some small island. Oh, Oceania. So yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Holy crap.
See, welcome to Naval Intelligence, where you have to remember geography everywhere. All right, here we go. I have spoken out against her price gouging and fake demand by limiting supply. Listen, that is market manipulation and not capitalism. However, this woman is who she is.
There you go. I support capitalism.
And it's because of her and that we are the greatest country in the world that she has reached success, monumental success. And it sounds a little bit jealous to shoot her down for it. How about the next? In 2023, she helped register over 35,000 new voters with a single Instagram post. Yeah, following her post, which encouraged her 272 million followers to register to vote and included a link to vote.org. This is a nonpartisan nonprofit organization, and it recorded a surge in voter registration when she did it. More than 35,000 people registered to vote as a result of this, marking the most registrations on a national voter registration day since 2020. And showing a 23% increase from previous year. Howie says, no, you have the right to your opinions. These aren't opinions, they're facts. I've just given you graphics. I've cited source on articles. I'm demonstrating the articles literally in a photograph that you can look up anytime you want. And I'm giving you actual stats and numbers. It's not an opinion. This is an editorialization type show. We don't do that here. I don't give you my opinion unless I say this is my opinion. I'm giving you facts. If we want to live in a fantasy world and pretend that Benny Johnson can just throw out a tweet and it's more offensive to you than me challenging it because he's not telling the truth, then you've got a problem that I can't fix. That I don't have the capability or the degree or the psychology to give you the answer you're looking for. You're more upset that I am challenging and proving he's lying to you than him lying to you. It's the old adage. When my wife calls out someone else's name in bed and you say, honey, how could you call out another man's name? She's like, listen, would you rather have me be sleeping with him saying your name or sleeping with you saying his? That's a really good point. You can't be more upset at me because he's lying. How is that possible? Come on now. Please. This instance highlights Swift's substantial impact on her fan base. Oh, sorry, Howie.
See, geez, you're jumping to conclusions.
I'm not
again.
mad. I wasn't cussing. I didn't cuss though. I was good. I was nice. I wasn't mean. I wasn't mean though. I'm learning how to just challenge without being mean. I'm not mad at anybody. Sorry, Howie. It's hard to tell.
He's doing the people's elbow right there.
He's throwing the elbow. All right. And her ability to mobilize. Sorry, Howie. I love you, buddy. It's hard. I can't see replies. It's them in civic participation. And why is that a bad? Danny says, I don't believe everything I see or hear, yet you're going ahead and getting upset at me for challenging someone who is only posting something without any fact, without any proof, and I'm giving it to you and you're upset. So let me get this straight. There's nothing that you read or see that will prove you wrong from what you think. You know what that's called? Woeful ignorance. There's nothing I can do to help you. I can't help you. Bad thing. Mellencamp and Springsteen told us to rock the vote, and we did on MTV. We shouldn't be afraid of the other side. We should have better policy that makes it obvious to vote for us. And let's be honest, this is 0.00012% of her fan base, and it represents a minutia of the America. See, I did the math for you. See, look at how nice I am. I did the math. You don't get math from Benny Johnson. Voting base. People don't listen to celebrities. And although if we keep pissing her off, they may. So maybe we should stop. And now she's dating a Pfizer Bud Light agent in the NFL, the most watched live sport in America. And once again, truth. Kinda. Listen, I don't care what he endorses or who she dates. I simply choose to ignore it and not let it occupy my time. Do I agree with his endorsements? No. But I can only listen to Howie Long talk about his erection for so long on Fox and how Australian Dream will alleviate my arthritis also. I expect a plug from both of you, thank you. We should be happy that two white, straight people have found each other. More importantly, we should be ecstatic that the left has embraced a white couple and not demonized them as racist as of yet. We all know it's a matter of time and it's coming soon. Just ask J.K. Rowling. They destroy everyone who they prop up as a hero. Then even the New York Times wrote a story on how Biden is courting her for an endorsement, and
She's
now
too
he
old
wants
for
to
Biden.
appear on stage with her, according
Too old for Leo DiCaprio, too.
to his post.
I bet her hair smells nice,
Reports indicate
Yeah.
Jesus.
that President Biden's re-election campaign is keen on securing Taylor Swift's endorsement. This is true. And it's to boost support among young voters. Swift, a significant influence, especially among these young audience, as we demonstrated earlier, has a history of these endorsements. While these reports suggest the campaign strategies, it's important to consider the general context of media reporting. The New York Times, like any news organization, has faced criticism and skepticism over the accuracy of its stories, underscoring the need for critical evaluation of news sources. So yes, it's true. And yes, every cycle, the Hollywood elite support Democrats. Shocker. Who knew? The last one that he put up, Mr. Benny Johnson, and here's a picture of Benny. If you don't know who he is, go over to his site and follow him and like him. He has some great stuff, most of the time. He says, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to put it all together. You just have to be paying attention. Well, Mr. Johnson, I am paying attention, and I've been paying attention now for almost 3 years and calling people out when they use the term pay attention, and that's only a cover for their inequities. In the context of the argument, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to put it all together. You just have to be paying attention. I would like to add, however, when you purposely falsify context and lie, your argument does become devoid of any validity. It introduces a crucial consideration. This additional point emphasizes the importance of honesty and accuracy in information and dissemination. While being observant and analytical is key to understanding complex issues, the integrity of the analysis is compromised if it's based on false premise or manipulated facts. This underscores the critical need for factual accuracy and contextual truth informing valid arguments and conclusions. In essence, while attention and critical thinking are vital, they must be grounded in truthful and accurate information to be credible. From plagiarizing articles, from hopping into bed with DeSantis, then Vivek, and then back to Trump, from your gotcha headlines that randomly pan out and never garner a retraction when they don't, from stealing the set of a low-level podcast. Now we know the cause. And even now, making your own rap song to counter Ben Shapiro. It's not a level of talent. You are successful, and people have borrowed ideas since the dawn of time. Taking other ideas and improving on them is a form of progress. Gates did it, Michelangelo did it, Patton, and even Trump. But so did guys like Steve Jobs. And there is no doubt the world is better for having Jobs around, but very few would sing his praises who knew him personally now that he's dead, because he never did the same for them when he was alive. It's not that I am better or that Benny is a bad guy. It's that Benny contributes to the lack of credibility from both sides, and some of us are desperately trying to restore it without clout chasing our way out of relevance. Benny, thanks for allowing me to go ahead and pick on you a little bit. If you have some comments, you can go ahead and write to me. I'll come on your show. You can come on mine. We can have a conversation like adults. Like I said, it's not personal. You make our jobs harder, and I would just ask that you take a second and at least try to get it right more often than you do. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show, folks. Please do me.
All right. So I think I opened a can of worms. We'll
Yes,
see.
you did.
We'll see in the
Yeah.
next 24 hours how this is going to go. I'd love to get reaction. Honesty, brutal honesty, of course, is the only way that I like it. Love to get your thoughts. Anyone
Yeah.
go?
Mike,
Ames.
look like. Do you want to go first,
Okay,
Mike?
So the first thing I thought when just going through this, there is some poor E3 and E4 that have now been tasked with like, okay, Taylor Swift is blown. We can't use her.
Right.
Come up with some celebrity that we can actually do this to try to do something.
Right.
So now for the next year, these people are going to hate lives because they're actually going to have to figure this out and try to do something and then present it to someone of like, hey, we should totally do this. This is going to be great.
Right.
So
David Copperfield's making a comeback. Let's
it
use
is-
him.
Someone just really screwed over a few people,
Yeah.
and they're going to hate life. So I hope that whoever started this is probably chuckling a little bit, being like,
right.
I'm going to. They were probably some former person in the army that's like, you know what, I'm going to screw over a couple E3s because they're dumb enough to actually look into this. Like, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So then I go back to one thing that Izzo said of, yes, we need to call people out and make sure it's accurate,
Right.
but the infighting within Republicans of like, how do we make sure we do that in such a way that it's like, hey guys, like we're going to keep each other accountable, but we don't start a cat fight.
Right.
And I've only watched a couple of things of Benny's. Like, I don't know how he is, but I don't know how that's going to go with him if it is going to start a cat fight where it's like, all right, guys, we're not doing anything productive, just going back and forth now.
Yeah.
Because most people don't like that direct and like calling out like, hey, here's everything you did wrong, and this is why it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't like that brutal honesty, even though it's what we actually need.
Sure.
So it's.
Well, there was some real quick there, just to make sure we're on the same page. There was quite a bit of it's the truth.
Yes.
There's quite a bit of, hey, go follow him. He's a good guy. I don't want to, but he did plagiarize 83 different articles. He was fired from 2 different newspapers. He most assuredly borrows other people's work and simply just puts his name on it. You're right. I don't like the infighting, but you know what I don't like more, and I think that this is where we have to kind of man up and say, I don't like lying. And it really bothers me. And there are I think that and this may sound like a Boy Scout, Mikey, but I swear to God, this is my motivation. There are tens of thousands of people who believe it. And that is my biggest issue. It's not that he's making money off it. It's not that he's grifting off of it. It's that there are people who are listening to this guy when he's blatantly lying and destroying a human being simply because they don't know why. What the hell is wrong with Taylor Swift? Can someone please explain it to me what she's done to anybody except make NFL more popular? They $351 million brand. She is a $1 billion performer. She is the most successful female ever in recording history and touring history. And I don't even like her. But to say that I don't listen to her music and enjoy it, I do, but I don't even like her. I think she's dumb as dog shit. I'm sorry. I think she's stupid.
I only like her music when The Rock is doing the lip syncing. That's when her music.
I think
she's
she's dumb. But
I haven't seen
doesn't.
that.
But Amy, go ahead. Mike, it's a good point. I knew that, but I'm sorry, that guy stole my set, and I don't care.
Well, and I'm not saying like that's what it was, but just I can see that starting.
Yeah.
Of like how do you properly do that so that way that person isn't going to take it the wrong way, which on the internet that everyone's going to. So it's like,
you know what you do? You don't respond when he does, and you allow him to have his say, and then it's over. That's what you do. You be a bigger person, and I don't care what he says. He can pick me apart. He can lie on me. Because I'm not that simple minded, and I'm not that small. If he comes and puts me on blast, and he's accurate, then guess what? He's going to be vindicated. And if he comes and puts me on blast and doesn't, then I am. And I am absolutely 100% with no equivocation, completely comfortable with everything I said. Minus that he stole my set, because I can't prove that. But I'll tell you what, if you go look at it, I mean, it's pretty freaking convincing, because you can listen to all the major talking heads. None of them have a set like I do. And it was very specifically built by me. And even his sign in the background it's just like, to me, it's obvious, but it doesn't matter. You know what? Copying somebody is the biggest form of flattery, and it is flattering. And that's why I made a joke about it under my breath, because I was teasing. I don't really care. I want Benny to be successful. I want the conservative movement to be successful. I want it to be honest. That's all I care about. I really do. Go ahead, Amy.
Well, I'm not a Swiftie, but all the people that I know that are fans of Taylor Swift are teenagers who are not old enough to vote anyway. So and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe her demographic is older. But I didn't think it was. I thought it was like teenage girls was her target audience.
Yeah.
who are not
I
able
mean-
to vote. So I don't know why they would use Taylor Swift as a psyop if this was even remotely
good point.
true.
My
It's
wife is definitely one. So it's kind of the same
Okay.
thing. Like if they did this with Harry Potter, they could potentially get me because it's Harry Potter. So no, like she's within that range of like the mid 30s is you could potentially get up that high. So I mean,
We need you to vote for a bleeding liberal, Harry.
I could vote for Luna Lovegood if she wants to run.
Yeah, it's a crazy.
I'm on it.
Looney Luna.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the point. Listen, if you don't think that I was reserved, because I've ridden the fence, I've tried to play nice. I'm done playing nice. Like, I've got an audience now. I've got viewers, and I'm going to be honest. And if I'm going to call, I don't think anyone would care. Nobody cared when I called out Sink Uyghur. Nobody cares when I call out Rachel Maddow. Nobody cares if I call it anybody. But all of a sudden I call out a fellow Republican, and it's like, oh, you can't do that. You know what? Yes, I can, because my loyalty isn't to Benny Johnson. My loyalty isn't to Donald Trump. My loyalty is to the truth. Because whether you believe that or not, I am Captain America without the complex. I do believe in the Boy Scout. I do believe truth, justice, and the American way. I do believe in your word. I do believe that there's loyalty. And I'm sorry. Everything he said had some truth in it, which is dangerous, which is so dangerous. And it doesn't necessarily make it right. George Soros didn't buy her discography. There's one lie. And if there's one lie, you'll find another. If you find another, you find another. And then eventually, it's not the truth. There's something wrong with that. This isn't the National Enquirer. You know what I mean? We've got to debunk some things. If you can just say anything without consequence, well, then forget it. We're done. All right.
Well, I think I'm not trying to pile on toot your own horn or toot your horn, but
Oh no, toot my
that's
horn,
why.
please.
That's why I started watching your show years ago, right? I was a fan of the show before I was a part of the show, and it's because you were not in the middle necessarily, but you were able to present both sides equally and argue for both of them and make you think about things from a different perspective. So,
I
don't think there's many shows that do that.
No, I agree. I don't care about Taylor Swift. Like she's got like 657 million reasons not to give a crap about what I say, and Benny Johnson probably has 2.5 million reasons not to care what I have to say, but I care. And and if anybody wants to fact check me, here's the interesting. Can you imagine? Benny Johnson comes on and goes boom, 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 and he lays out some stuff, and then he's got 1 or 2 points where it's like, oops, I was wrong. Can you imagine any host getting on and saying, hey, Benny, thanks. I was wrong on those 2 points, and I apologize. I'm going to eat some crow, and I retract my comment. Can you think of anyone who would do that?
Can you imagine
Everyone knows I would.
Dan Bongino actually swallowing his pride and actually doing that? No,
I
never
would.
happened.
Everyone knows I would, because everyone's seen me do it before, whether it be a viewer or my own wife on show, or when I've gotten pissy with Amy or whatever. Even when we're reflecting on a conversation at breakfast and looking at myself and saying, you know what, I could have been better here. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. In fact, it makes you right.
That's
because
how you learn.
it wipes the slate clean. It starts you fresh, and you don't have to remember. That's the greatest thing in the world. My dad was a smart man, but he always stole other people's stuff. And his comment that I always remember is, and he always would paraphrase incorrectly. And then once I got to a certain age where I was reading and educating myself, like, geez, Dad, you know what? You certainly sound a lot like this. I never heard of him. I'm like, you never heard of Ben Franklin, Dad? Really? But the old comment is that you have to remember every single lie you've ever told. And that is an interesting thing. If you have to remember every lie you've ever told, you better have a memory like an elephant. And I don't. I don't have that capability to lie, because I can't remember all of those things. So imagine that someone corrects you. I hope Benny responds. You know what I hope he does? Hey, man, you know what? That was pretty well thought out video. I wish you success. Because that's what Benny should do. He shouldn't punch down. And Benny should punch up. And Benny should be going after the big hawks. He should be going after the big people on the left who are lying and saying crap that isn't true. He shouldn't be going after Taylor Swift. I mean, that's for clicks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just my thought.
Yep. It's for clicks.
Good luck trying to figure out if I lied, because guess what, buddy? Anyway, let's watch it. and see what else we got. All right, so 2 other topics. Amy, you want to lead us in your topic, and then we'll give it to Mike, and then you can
'cause I
walk
have
us
to go
through
early.
this.
Sorry.
Yes, go for it.
And I mean, I'm good now. I'm like, I have to go early. So, so I think I picked the obvious topic tonight, talking about the UN. And I've heard a lot of information, and I'm not even 100% sure what's completely accurate about the people they've let go and how many people were involved. So,
Well, let me
just
pull
talk
it
about-
up. Have you had a chance to read the article and review it? And it's totally
Yeah.
fine if you haven't.
Yeah, no, but I've heard more since this even. So it's kind of, and I actually was listening to a lot of left news media sources on this particular topic to get their take, because I already kind of have my opinion, and I listen to Fox News, so I already kind of know their stance on it too.
Sure. Well, let's listen to the video that you included, and then we can kind of talk about it as a team. So this is interesting. It's saying that 12 UN employees assisted with the October 7th attacks, whether giving information from a human intelligence standpoint or other type of ELINT or, IMG, whatever it is. Let's find out. So let's listen to it.
And Works Agency, pausing payments temporarily to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, in Gaza after the UN fired 12 staffers over their alleged involvement in the October 7th attacks. But is it too late? The U.S. is the biggest donor to the agency, sending $296 million last year alone, and nearly $1 billion since Biden took office and resumed payments after Donald Trump had stopped them in 2018. Here to react is Senior VP for Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's Jonathan Schanzer. Jonathan, thanks for being here. So we should note that Donald Trump stopped these payments for a reason. So we knew this agency was involved in nefarious work. Now it's revealed potentially involved in the terrorist attack. Break it down for us.
Sure. Well, it turns out the Israelis have been collecting intelligence on this group since the 10/7 attack. It looks like there are about a dozen people that were involved in the murders that took place on October 7th. The Israelis have been actually talking to some of the people that they arrested on that day and some of the fighters that they pulled out of Gaza, where they've learned more and more about how this organization was directly involved in Hamas attacks. This, of course, is not anything new for folks that have been watching this agency. Over the years, we've seen that there have been Hamas fighters firing rockets from within the compounds of the schools and hospitals that they run. There are tunnels that snake below. There's weapons storage facilities that they have within these buildings as well. So the Israelis have been on top of this for a long time. Obviously, the Trump administration as well. There was a series of tweets that Mike Pompeo put out in the waning days of the Trump administration, warning of how corrupt and nefarious this organization was, and no one seemed to care over the last 2 or 3 years. That bill has obviously come due.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan, it must have been evident enough, the intelligence there, if the Trump administration stopped funding. We knew this, that if UNRWA is able to operate inside the Gaza Strip or elsewhere, they're doing so at the behest of Hamas. And what they must have seen is that they've become an extension of that. So much of an extension of that they're willing to take part in terrorist attacks on October 7th. They say they're going to pause funding. Do you believe that? Or do you think there'll be a permanent stop? Or are we going to go back to funding the people that attack our friends?
Look, I think it all really depends on how much evidence the Israelis are willing to make public. Right now, we haven't actually seen what they've seen. I think a huge amount of this is really going to hinge on whether the Israelis are willing to declassify that intelligence. And then on top of that, I think the Israelis are probably, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, they're going to release more information about what this organization has been doing over the years, the way that they've taught the kids, beginning at age 4 or 5 to hate the Israelis, to talk about martyrdom and jihad, and the way that they cast the Israelis as enemies. So it's an education problem, it's a funding problem, it's a terrorism problem. Hopefully this is all going to be laid bare, and there'll be other agencies that can step in. It's not like UNRWA has to be the only agency that does this. There are plenty of other groups within the UN that could probably do it better without the violence, without the corruption, without the Hamas connections.
And there's plenty of countries also, especially in the Muslim Middle East, that could fund these things as well if they had so much compassion for the people being affected. Yet it seems to be us who's always footing the bill. And
so I'll just chime in quickly on my opinion on this. Is UNRWA, I've had a chance to do some investigation on them. I've done a show on them, and with the money and the funding, UMG just hit me for a violation on our video. That's okay. I'll take care of it. So when it comes to the funding of the education of these children and the generalized doctrine and hatred for Jews, they are solely responsible for the last 17 years of radicalizing an entire country of people against Jews. And it's not like the Israelis didn't buy into the Western philosophy. It's not like they didn't listen to, I mean, there was peace coming with Saudi Arabia. That was absolutely going to be concluded. And Iran knew this. And the fact that they let this attack take place, knowing that this has been the MO of every single radicalized Muslim group in the region, is whenever there are peace talks to absolutely interrupt the accords and interrupt the conversation so it doesn't take place, is a horrible lapse of judgment on the Israelis and the U.S. intelligence. We get all that. But it still was perpetrated by people who did it and would do it again, even if that country was to stabilize. Liv, we're almost at 1,000.
We were far away.
We're at 994. Will you hand that to Mike?
Oh wow, that's awesome.
996.
996. Okay,
Nice.
so
Are you serious?
yeah,
I'm not even gonna be online for this.
that's your fault, not mine.
I go grocery shopping.
You're not. You're done now. You can come over. We can put you in the window. All you got to do is sit down. Your station's set up.
Yeah, because I gotta leave,
Come on
so
over
that'd
here.
be perfect.
Wait, you guys have a 6
So-
going?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I was just saying hi.
Saying good night or saying hi?
I was just saying
All right, love you. Hi. So that's basically it. Is that you can't sit. I love you, buddy. You can't sit here and support a group that is indoctrinating an entire group of people. This is why it was absolved by Donald Trump. Please close the door, guys. This is why Donald Trump absolved the group and why he took funding away from them. And this is why Joe Biden gave it back. And anyone who says anything different, well, those are the facts. Those are the numbers. And it's not because I said so. It's because it's the truth.
Right.
That's all I got.
Yeah. You want to go, Mike? You want to go?
No, you're going to
I
go.
can go.
Nope, you go.
Yeah. So I don't know enough about Biden's reasonings for reinstating the funding. I did not seem to come across that in any of my research, but I didn't have all day to do it. So
The
I didn't know why.
humanitarian aid is the excuse. They want the humanitarian aid.
Except, where is the proof of the aid going to humanitarian efforts?
They don't have to have that.
They don't have to have that. They just have to go ahead and say it because that's the U.S. government. They don't care where the money goes once it's over there, and we know where it's going. It's going to
Our own
Hamas.
organization and just say it's
Yeah.
humanitarian aid and funnel
That's
our
it.
own pockets. Jeez.
Look at Ukraine. Why are we funding Ukraine? Well, 70% is for infrastructure. Yeah, right. Give me a break. It's for payoffs.
And that's my concern too. Why are we still electing officials that are clearly okay with terrorism? I mean, this group, I don't know if this is accurate, but I heard that the people that were arrested were directly involved on October 7th. But there was actually, I think, several thousand people, and I might be wrong about that number. I forget the exact number. It was either 1,200 or 12,000, I think, that were linked to this organization and the funneling of the money to Hamas, that they were actually directly tied to Hamas in some way, shape, or form, that were associated with UNRWA. So I'm so confused about why we are giving money to an actual terrorist organization. If we are saying as a country, I mean, Biden has said that he's supporting Israel and defending themselves. And, by no equivocation, he's saying that Hamas is bad. We need to take them out. But we're actually giving them money to. Nice. Are we there? Oh, I thought it was at 1,000.
Nope, I'm listening to you.
No, I mean, why are we not calling this out? Why are we not saying, hey, what's going on? I mean, the Israeli I did watch the press. Well, I actually listened to the press conference. I didn't watch it, but they're usually pretty spot on, and they usually do provide the information to back up what they are saying. I don't know if they can. Again, this is probably very sensitive, materials. I'm not in the government, never have been, so I don't know what's okay to be released and not. But maybe they could have released it to government officials who claim to be on their side, like America, so we can say, okay, this is actually truth. They have the proof here. Let's completely not only defund the UN, sorry, dismantle them. And I mean, they're not doing anything anyway, right? Like this is just it's like going out for beers on a Thursday or something. Like go.
It's a world police force is what it is.
Yeah.
That's all the UN is.
But they don't do anything though. I mean, if they're not, if this happened under their noses, then
sure they do. They feed off the United States government and the amount of money we provide for them, and they have a crap ton of money to feel secure in bringing in smaller countries that don't have their own military force. That's the modus operandi of the UN, but that doesn't mean that's what they do. Because there's hundreds of, look at Amy, she's shocked at what I'm saying. Hundreds of thousands of people are being murdered with genocide and being killed under the UN's watch, and they're not providing. They don't do. It's not they don't do anything. It's they do nothing, which is actually something, and that's the terrifying thing. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you while she comes back, because Amy is very. Amy, I'm sorry. Don't be so upset. Just hang in there. She blew a gasket. So.
All right, so a few things for this. Like, why did Biden restart this? Basically because Trump turned it off. And there's a good portion of his executive orders that whatever Trump did, we're doing the exact opposite. Just like taking the Houthis off the terrorist watch list.
Yeah.
Guess what? Now they're coming back on.
So I wonder why,
There's
Mike.
so many things that they literally are just like, well, Trump did one thing, so we need to do the exact opposite because Trump's bad.
Right.
So that is a large number of why all this stuff is like, oh, these guys are great. They're going to do amazing. They always do what they're supposed to with their money because every government does. And now look, 3 years later, guess where we're at?
Right.
So one thing people, the other thing that they have to understand about these money that's going overseas, a large portion of what the U.S. government does is like, hey, there's something we want to do, whether it's UN, other little projects, AID, like all these different organizations. Like, we have this money, we have to spend it. Cool. We're going to give it to this organization and we're going to do something. There's no actual checks and balances on what they're actually doing on the back end. Once that money goes out, they got their little check in the box and then now they're getting promoted. They don't care where this money is actually going to. They just have, or it's a lot of bleeding hearts that work in a lot of these places. Like, oh, the UN, they're doing such a great thing. We're just going to keep pushing all the money that we can at them. And since they had the funding stop for the last 3 years, they're going to try to make up for the last 3 years and try to pump them more money. So this is just how the government works. This is what happens when you have a bunch of liberals that basically control the government and the actual purse and where everything goes. Yeah. So that's just kind of how all that happens. And the Israelis, guarantee you if they release any intel on this, probably gonna have some decent audio, just like they've done for a lot of the leaders of Hamas when this attack actually happened, of like, hey, this is the guy that directed it, this is why, and this is why he's dead. There's probably gonna be a lot more of that coming out. We should expect a decent amount of that. And I guarantee you the correct people in the government have already seen all this, and it was either fully ignored until October 7th, or now they're like, oh, yeah, they told us about it. We told them either we don't care, or they just completely brushed it off, and now they're having to go back and be like, oh, hey, no, we actually care this time. Can you resend us that info because we deleted it?
Do you think there's an opportunity for that this is a giant fact-finding mission, that in the sense that they may have had some rumblings of what was going to happen, but very similar to 9/11, didn't give it credibility because there were multiple sources and conflicting information. And usually there is. It's never one solitary threat. I don't think I've ever seen that ever on flash traffic. It's always multiple threats, multiple locations by multiple different groups. Do you think now that it's happened they're retroactively going back through emissions traffic, going back through analysis that wasn't touched, and starting to narrow down and find that there were multiple countries involved in this, hence the level of secrecy that was involved, that could have evaded the intelligence apparatus of Mossad and the United States CIA. I'm interested to get your thoughts on that. And don't speak specifically on the CIA. Intelligence agency. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that to you.
I love you. Don't forget to shut my door, babe.
So
Love you.
yes,
you understand my question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to be like, it doesn't matter what kind of event it was, like after Charlie Hebdo, the Ariana Grande concert, like all of that stuff that happens, there's going to be a deep dive of like, okay, what did we miss? What did we not get through? That's going to happen for every major incident that's out there. So is that happening? 100%. Now,
my point is that why? It's I know it's happening because you've got to go do forensic analysis from the last they're going to do decades. But the question is that why it's coming out now? Not that it's opportune or not that there's enough spatial gap between the day of the incident and now. Do you believe it's because they're on these fact-finding missions and this is all coming out at once? Or do you think it's strategic to garner support?
It's strategic on the Israeli side because this stuff, like we already had this and we didn't do anything. They are strategically releasing this information in order to keep this conflict in the news cycle, so that way there's no possible way that they could either lose funding or decrease, so that way they can continue the operation to the fullest of whatever it is, whether it's just in Gaza or if they do go north into Lebanon, so they can continue that money stream. But they keep doing these little things like, oh, hey, U.S., now they have this calling card of like, you just funded part of the people that attacked us.
Exactly.
So you know that Iron Dome that we asked for?
Right.
Yeah, we need another one.
Or those votes that keep coming out of the UN. That shit needs to stop, and we need you on the side of the United States.
Exactly.
That's very, very good.
F-16s, everything else is coming. They now have a Trump card to continue this for probably another 4 months.
Yep.
So once we get to that point, look for more stuff to come out being like, oh, hey, U.S., did you know you also did this? Just to drag this out long enough so Israel can be like, hey, we're going to see this through the end, but U.S., since you're complicit in this, and obviously, like, yes, we indirectly funded this 100%. So they're just going to keep this going and keep us drugging in until the election, which, if they're smart, they will clean whatever operation is still going at that point by the election. And then that way, from then on, it can just be whatever the normal aid packages that they're going to get.
Can I ask one more question? And I just want to get your analysis on this and your thought process. What's going to happen when Saudi Arabia is tied and linked to this attack on Israel? That they're going to find certain groups and certain separatist groups inside Saudi, whether it be the Sunni or the Shias, who are responsible for maybe bankrolling some of this, but also leveraging some of the planning. Because I think that's what we found out with 9/11, is that Saudi was involved at a level which the United States never wanted to release.
Yep.
And when it came out, it was more of just plausible deniability. And, well, those are separatist groups. But there's very little that happens in the region without Saudi's stamp of approval, at least from the under the table. So Mike, I'm gonna do you right, because you've always told me to stop talking so much, just ask my question and then shut up. So here it is. You've never said that, but I know it's what you want to say, but I'll just step on you. So what happens when Saudi Arabia is in the next year or two that we receive the intel that Israel has uncovered that Saudi Arabia was involved in this attack, have told the United States this, which is why we're getting that, Joe Biden, that unabashed support for Israel, probably because he knew he fucked up with Saudi Arabia. And now he's trying to put the shit back in the horse. And if he releases this or this gets out, ultimately it's going to weaken even more our influence in the Middle East. Sorry.
Yes. So, yes, that's going to be the first part. I think the indicator that we're going to see is gas prices are significantly going to drop, because that's going to be their way of saying, hey, our bad. Yes, we were involved. We didn't tell you. This is what you're going to get in return, because there's nothing that we can actually do to them to actually hurt their economy, because we need them so much. So I think that is going to be our we're going to see that drop. And then just like when, I forget that reporter's name. It starts with a K.
Yeah. Who was killed over there?
Yes, the ones that the Saudis killed. Same thing with that, to where there's going to be a little blip, and then it's going to get washed out in the news cycle again, and we're just going to continue as always.
Yeah, I imagine seeing something like that. Saudi Arabian official or parliament or former oligarch / oil tycoon is responsible, was taken out by the Saudi government and was killed on sight. That's what you're going to find. There's no way that person's going alive. They're either going to be stuck in a hole somewhere or they're going to get offed, and it's going to be on page 26. And then you and I are going to be like, oh, hey, guess what? This is what we were talking about a year ago. That didn't make the news because this is more than likely what's taking place. And that's the only reason why Biden would support Israel, because Obama didn't. And you can sit here and pretend that he did. Obama did a lot for Israel, but he was also very contentious with Netanyahu. He saw him as a Trump in the Middle East. Something's going to out when it comes to this.
Oh, yeah. But like that's how all this stuff goes down. Is there is certain governments that can literally get away with murder because of their strategic value in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And Saudi is one of them. So they can get away with this, and there's nothing that anybody is going to do to them.
By the way, 999 subscribers. We are one away on YouTube.
Who
We're
wants
very
to
excited.
be that 1,000?
This is before Olivia's birthday. It's what she wanted. By the way, the person was Khashoggi, I believe. Is that
That's
correct?
right.
Amy, why don't you bring us home before you have to go? Because I know you do. Anything else on this topic? And thanks for bringing it, because it's a subtle one, but it's one that I think is going to expand. When you find 12, you'll find 24. When you find 24, you'll find 150. This is the problem with why everyone talks about the stolen election. And I'm like, guys, this would have outed by now. You cannot keep a secret in today's society, and this is a matter of time before all this outs. And let me just say one last quick thing before I turn it over to Amy completely. If there really was a stolen election, some foreign government would have uncovered it and leaked it, and with proof, and so they could create chaos in the United States, impact our stock market, have civil unrest, because it would. Because every Republican, if we found out it was true and really true with with quantifiable and qualifiable evidence, that would create the biggest turmoil in the world. Trust me, the world would release this and sabotage the United States. Give me a break.
Oh yeah, China would have done it in a heartbeat.
Heartbeat. Amy, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I brought this topic honestly because I wanted more. Oh, we made it.
Just did it.
We hit it. 1,000. 1,000. Oh yeah. Do I got something? Hold on. Let's see.
To celebrate.
I'm looking. She's coming. You got fireworks, right?
More like Wile E. Coyote right there.
Yeah.
There it is.
The anvil
There
drop.
it is. The cows have come home to roost.
Yeah. That's
1,000.
Yeah.
1,000 before your birthday. So congratulations. Olivia wanted this. Y5. Y5. Outstanding.
Everybody.
High five, E. High five, Amy. High five, Amy. All right. 1,000. So Amy, go ahead. Bring us home. You know what? It's not over. That video is now like at 2,700. So it's just going to go up from here.
Nice.
All right.
That's awesome. Yeah. I wanted to bring up this topic, one, because there's so much information out there that is conflicting, at least from my research on it. I'm hearing all kinds of numbers, all kinds of different stories. And I brought this because I honestly thought you guys would be able to answer it better than anyone else and like explain it in terms that normal people like me can understand. So that's really why I really brought it to learn more, not because I had that much insight on it.
No,
I wanted to know more from
That's
y'all.
what it's all about. That's what it's all about, kiddo. And we all learn things. And I just know that this is deeper than 12 staffers in the UN. And when a staffer, understand this, staffers don't do any. It's like we were talking about the E3s and the E4s. Staffers don't do anything without permission from the ambassadors that represent them. And you're going to find that there were other countries involved who are a part of you. This has a very big chance of dissolving the UN or removing several countries from the UN roster and chapter. And that is a huge thing. So if there's corruption of this level and magnitude inside the UN, it's also treason. So little people don't know that ambassadors, they can't declare war, or they can't promote war. They're responsible for communicating. They're like an attaché. And if an ambassador threatens during a meeting inside the UN, another country with military action, they can be held by the other countries as a seditious behavior or plotting to conspire. This has hanging from a yardarm or capital punishment type in these countries consequences. This is serious shit. So I want to monitor this, want to keep watching this, but the UN is a very, I mean, if you think that the United States government is very parliamentarian and England is, the UN is, they have a very specific set of rules, and these countries won't join unless these rules are enforced. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we can already tell by what the Israelis did, and I forget the name of the hospital where they went in. If a bunch of people in the UN are involved in this and nothing happens, Israeli takes care of themselves.
Yeah,
and they're going to do it. When they mean never again, they mean it. So if there were some high up people that were involved in this, good luck. It's not going to end well for you.
Well, that's why we were joking about E4. It's like Mike's like some E3 is going to be like, son of a, my psyop is over for Taylor Swift, even though that's the whole point. This isn't going to be at a level. A psyop, we don't even need to go into it. Amy, get out of here. You got to go take care of your family. We got a commercial coming up. We love you, Amy. Say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, thanks. I know. Sorry, I have to leave early tonight, guys. Got to do some family stuff. So
yeah, geez, family before us. I mean, come on.
I can't believe it. I'm so disappointed in you.
It's really important, or I would not leave early, but I got to do this tonight. So,
see you
I love
Friday,
you guys.
kiddo.
Bye, everybody.
Yep, we'll see you then.
We'll see you.
Bye. Hey, what's going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me podcast. It's interesting. I've had these books for, 3 years now, and I've got, 3 independent books of the Declaration, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution of the United States that I inherited from my mother. Leather-bound, beautiful, and they're older books, 1935, 1937, something to that effect. I'll show them on the show, but people see me reference these nightly on the show. And the interesting thing is I've never really put 2 and 2 together. We have a website, and someone asked last night, hey, how the heck do I get those books? Where do I get those books? And it dawned on me that I should provide these. So they are now on sale. They're beautiful books. They're leatherette books. They're hardback, which is nice. They don't have a dust cover or anything. I've used these, like I said, ad nauseum, and they hold up and they stand the test of time. They've got pictures of the framers, founders, inside the books. They make references with different colors to kind of explain things in a little bit of a simpler way or give some context. But this is word for word, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration. So it's a pretty cool thing. $14.99 per book. And then I'll ship them to you. And then we also have the Documents of Freedom collection, which is all 3 books. And it comes in a hardbound sleeve, which is really nice. And I think that's $49.99. So take a look on the site. You can peruse as much as you want. And now you can own the books that I have on the show. Thanks so much. And I'll see you guys 7 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday. No, wait. 7 o'clock all week long, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock. We'll see you live. Good night, everybody. So, yeah, folks, those sold out in a New York minute. So if you're interested, please go over there.
Now's the time to...
I know those specifically are the last that I'm more than likely going to get in, and we are working on a wooden slipcover version. So, yeah, pretty excited about that. Go over to thedumbshow.com if you are interested. Mike, you were going to bring us a video of Nikki Haley.
Yes, this is President Haley getting a little ahead of herself on what the U.S. should do in response to the drone attack that killed 3 American service members and wounded 40 was the last figure that I saw, but wounded a bunch to where I always love it when people Monday boarding quarterback and like, oh, this is what I would have done. Like, well, I'm glad you can say that now, but when you're the person that actually has to decide to take life, but then you're the one who is ordering our citizens and our military in harm's way that may lead to the death of U.S. citizens. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. So you can sit here on Fox News and be like, oh, this is what we need to do. We need to do this now. Like, there's a lot more in play at that. Now, granted, should we have responded already? Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
But if you're going to sit here on Fox like, oh, they should have done on this and this is what they need to do, I'm like, come on, Nikki Haley. But
I want to hear what she has to say because you're like telling me what I need to think. So maybe we should watch this.
My bad.
No, let's do it. Let me ask you a quick question. What do you feel about Soleimani? Should Trump have hit Soleimani?
100%.
So what's the difference?
So,
well, let's watch the video and then let's think about that while we watch it. How about that? Is that cool?
Yep.
All right.
Their leader.
And Ramon, thanks for buying the books. Appreciate it. You guys, those things are going to sell out. I've got 13 left before we make the wooden version that Jason's working on. So 13 are left. They're going to ship on February 12th. I just want to let you know. So get them while they're hot, man. They're awesome. They are. This is probably going to be a business for us. That's the demand. I haven't even released this to the main sites. This is just for the live show. So it's crazy. Here we go.
It's different. Don't go and bomb the country.
What about their infrastructure?
The infrastructure in Iraq and Syria. You start with that first. You do the sanctions and you take out a couple of their leaders. That's the way you start.
In their country?
If they're in their country, or you do like Soleimani when they left the country, you figure out where they are. Our special operations can do that, and then you take them out. That will send a message. We've got to do this immediately.
You're saying now's the time to hit Iran?
Now's the time to hit their leaders. It's different. Don't.
She wants a war.
Yes, and see, this is where now I can see that the Raytheon or Northrop, whichever one she was, like that's starting to come out of that bloodthirsty stuff that everyone's talking about. Like this is where I can see like, oh yes, we need to do this. I'm like, yes, we do, but the time to do that has already passed.
Yeah, you do it immediately.
Yes. So the fact that we've waited this long, this is the normal, oh, well, it's been this long, so now we have to do a measured response.
What do you want her to say? Because I'm trying to sit here and think about it, because you and I both know the only way Iran is going to respond is by having leaders taken out.
Yes.
You have to do that.
Yes.
Because there's no other way Iran's going to, okay, unless you want to go ahead and send in the Marine Corps, unless you want to send in, Lee, thanks for picking up the books, appreciate you. If you want to go in and send in and hit their integrated air defense systems, you and I both know the strike. Let me finish this. You and I both know the strike packages, Mikey. We know the attrition and the amount of loss to our first initial 3 or 4 waves of aircraft. Those integrated air defense systems are going to fucking eat us alive. Yep. We can't go in and hit the 9 different command and control systems inside Iran. So you got to do a message that is, it's not a fuel depot. It's not a petroleum plant. It literally is hitting them where they hurt. What do we do instead?
See, and this is where, like, do I agree we need to hit the leaders? Yes. It's just when I see that when these candidates go on these news stations like, oh, well, this is what I would have done. I'm like, cool, you're not in the seat. You don't have the current intel. This is what you would want to do, but you don't know what's actually feasible right now. And one, they're also putting out playbooks of how things are happening and like, oh, hey, that these folks can do it. I'm like, a little bit of OPSEC, please. And I realize, like, yes, you have to say some type of response where, like, oh, hey, well, if you would put me in as president, this is what I would do. I was just hoping for a more of like, hey, we should have hit already. Yes, we should have hit the leaders, but guess what? This is now like, this is not on what Iran is doing. This is our inactions now. We are not responding to this properly. We have not actually made our troops safe, allowed them to operate freely, or why are we even still there? I know they keep saying, oh, this counter ISIS. Is it enough of a threat that we should keep going in the presence that we have? Or is it down enough that like, hey, you can do this over the horizon and with the fancy drones that they love to go everywhere? Do we need to keep our people in harm's way to do a half-assed job? So,
but I don't think that's what she said. And I don't want to defend Nikki Haley because she's said, you know, I don't like her special forces comment. She said that in South America and in Mexico. And I'm like, lady, if you want to start bringing home team guys and Delta guys in body bags, you give them a green light down to go against the cartels. These are no joke. These guys have been fighting wars for 50 years. They're hardened. So I'm not about putting troops in harm's way, but I don't know if it bothers me that one of our leaders says you have to kill Iranian leaders in order for things to change. Trump did it, and I was fine with it. Is it different that she says it? Does it really make her a war hawk, or are we just? Oh, shit, do I have to say this? Is it because you and I have spent too much time with female State Department fucking women who are all hell-bent on just kill, and not necessarily taking the slow roll approach to things and more of the clandestine operational security, keep the lid on tight, do it in the cover of darkness, because you get those full joy people. I'm not saying it's just women. Guys do it too. But in my experience, State Department female field agents or attaches or caseworkers are a little bit more gung-ho than most people. Is that why, or what is it? What is it that's setting off your alarm bells?
To me, I feel like she is trying to prove herself too hard to where it's like, oh, look, I'm going to be as good as a man. I'm like, you don't have to be. You have to be good as you are. And we need someone who can actually be a good president, because guess what? The bar right now is not very high. As long as you actually show up to work more than 40% of the time, you're going to do pretty good. Like, you can actually make a decision. I think we're going to be okay. But to me, this is so gung-ho, and she's chomping at the bit so much that I'm like, and like, this is also what I don't like about.
She should have said leadership. Right?
I mean,
is that what you're saying? I mean, it's verbiage, right? We have to kill them. We have to, there's a way to say this where, we obviously have to continue to put sanctions. We have to continue to put political pressure, regional pressure. But when those things stop working and you kill American citizens, there will be a visceral reaction from the United States. Saying that would be like, oh, Nikki ain't fucking around.
Yeah.
But
I guess maybe what I was hoping for was like a more, what I would consider like a presidential response, which Trump never did.
No,
but
never.
That's what I would hope that we could get back to, was someone who could go on there and be like, you know what? This is what they did. We're coming for you.
We had DeSantis. So you know what we did? We decided to call him a Soros plant. We had the greatest Republican since, I don't even know. This guy was more conservative than any candidate I have ever seen run for office, even more than Reagan. Reagan was a liberal. Trump was liberal for a long time. A lot of his views were liberal. He is a liberal, or a conservative candidate, DeSantis was, and we just threw him to the wolves. DeSantis would have been, here's our response. 1, 2, 3, and if 4 happens, we're coming through the door. But he would have had a euphemism, and it would have been presidential. But people don't want that. It's amazing that they don't like Nikki. I think if she was in a suit with a tie, I think people would love her. But because she's a woman, I think people feel that it's coming off as ostentatious or bravado, or she's trying to prove something. I think she's damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. Because even if she would have given the standard response, what people said? She's weak. Now she's trying to freaking curtail to us because she was so hard, and now she's trying to be soft. She's trying to fool us. Is there anything that she could possibly do where anyone would be okay? Because DeSantis couldn't. It has to be only Trump, and that's the only person people listen to, it seems.
I mean, yeah, a vast majority of people, like, that's what it's going to be. And that's what I was just hoping for, that she's going to come out, and because Trump's not going to do it. You have to be the one to start acting more presidential and not get down to where it's a TV show and we're just doing The Apprentice all over again, yelling at each other. Like, if we can get back to that, that's what I would love that are on the executive level actually get back to.
Do you like her?
There's things that I do, and there's things that I don't.
Well, and that's fair. Do you like her, Mike? You're not an indecisive guy. Give me a break. Do you like her or not?
I do, but I don't think she's going to get enough.
But that doesn't matter. She doesn't have to. She's not going to be president. No. We know that. They're not going to put a skirt in office unless it gets Donald Trump, and then they reward her. But that's my whole point, is being VP, is because it gives us a path to 2028. It at least gives her the ability to pick DeSantis or get Glenn Youngkin and carry the seat for the next 8 years. We've got to win. If we don't win, we have to appoint the next 2 SCOTUSes. We have had a taste of what it feels like to have. And everyone's like, after Amy Coney Barrett, you know what? They didn't do anything wrong when they kicked it back to Texas. Do you guys understand what those judges did? They put it back in the federal court. there were already 4 cases in the lower courts. And if the Supreme Court would have made a decision, then they circumvent the process. They can't do that. So all they said was, you have to take down the current wire. The current wire. That's why they left it so ambiguous, guys. Of course, you know, he got a phone call. Some staffer called Abbott and said, by the way, you have to take down the current wire. And then Abbott's like, son of a bitch, can't believe you guys did me like that. And they're like, is it rusty? Are there some blood spots? You might want to replace it. And so that's why. And now the court would have to hear it again. And the Supreme Court's going to like, we already decided on this. The lower court decision will have it. And then we won't have to reverse the decision we made. This is the most Republican SCOTUS we've ever seen. These are the guys that turned over Roe v. Wade, protected gun rights, voting rights. And now you're going to turn on them because all they did was tell Abbott to take it down and put it back up. People need to relax and stop thinking everything is so AF and political. The question is, Nikki's not going to win Nevada. We know that. She's already, Trump's got that like by 98%.
Yep.
We know she's down supposedly by 30 points, but they also said the same thing about New Hampshire, is that she was down by 30 points. There's no doubt she's not going to win South Carolina, but if she can pick up 10 delegates again, in my opinion, Nikki Haley doesn't need to leave this race. There is nothing that's holding back her from staying into Super Tuesday because either way, who cares?
And do you think she's playing the long game to where if Trump actually does get indicted and he's like, hey.
No, I don't.
You're not playing that?
No, I do not believe that's what's happening. Here's what I think what's happening. She's vying for the vice presidency. And she's going to make it. She is going to ride this out where she gets at least 15% of the electorals. And if she does, Trump has to pick her as VP.
So mathematically, she's trying to keep her in. We're like, hey, if you want it, this is what it is.
Even if she stays in, she's not going to win it. It would be a contested RNC convention. Trump's going to win unanimously. We know that. She has to get a certain percentage of votes in order to contest. Like Ted Cruz wanted to, Ronald Reagan did in 76, and then did in 80, was promised the election. All she's trying to do is to show Donald Trump, listen, I got 15% of the electorate. Without me, you can't win. And if you put me on the ticket, you will win. And it's smart.
But is bringing on Haley enough to bring in those never Trumpers?
Yes. Yes, because that's, wait. No, not never Trumpers. But that's not what she's vying for. And that's not her. Everyone's like, she has Democrats. You guys are ridiculous. Those numbers are infinitesimal. It's less than 0.6% of her overall vote in New Hampshire. It didn't even come over to be something like a ridiculous number, like 3,000 votes. Give me a break. That has nothing to do with it. She has moderates. She has independents. And she has a very large portion. I don't know if anyone knows this, but independents were just recognized as 48% of the country. They are going to overtake conservatives and Democrats in this election cycle. So you have to get those votes. Biden isn't going to get those votes because he's not going to change out his VP. So he's baked in the cake. He's got what he's going to get. He's not going to expand his base, especially with his scores. The only person who can swell their base is Donald Trump or RFK as a third party candidate. And you either have to pick RFK as a VP, which I think is a horrible mistake, or you have RFK endorse you early enough and go ahead and get a cabinet position, and you put him on something like I don't know, whatever,
transportation,
bigger. You don't put him as Secretary of State. You don't give him the keys to Intel. You don't put him as NSA or national security, but you give him something like I don't
commerce
know.
Or
something bigger than that. You know what? I don't know what you would give him because I haven't thought about it. You know what? Make him chief of staff. Make him chief of staff for Donald Trump. Whatever it is, give him something. Give him a high cabinet position. Put him in the State Department, right? Make him Secretary of State if that's what you want to do. I don't know. Give him something that makes sense. But then you get Haley because it's not about Haley being a good person. It's not that she's not a war hawk. You want those votes. If you don't get those votes, you're going to lose.
So I guess is like the actual path for a conservative victory is that Trump, Haley, and is it Stein taking enough votes away from Biden? Is that like the
Stein is gonna so here's what RFK wants to do. RFK wants to take votes from himself, from Stein, and the other guy from New Hampshire, the Democrat. It's not Russell, but whatever his name is, he's a third party candidate, but who's running as a Democrat, so a second party candidate. They believe that that's enough to not influence in the point of decide the election, but it's enough to bleed from Biden, very similar to 2016 when Jill Stein did that to Hillary Clinton. So that's why Jill Stein doesn't matter. That's going to absolutely impact the Democrats. It's going to crush them. That's why Jill Stein's getting no interview time across the Democrat stations at all. Zero.
Because they know that
they know she killed Hillary. RFK is no longer getting time on the opposing stations, but Fox is pushing him. So I think ultimately what's going to happen is RFK is going to come onto Trump's side. You're going to see him get a very large position. I'd love to see him as chief of staff. I think he'd be ridiculous as that. Or director of communications or something to that effect. He's wicked smart. I think he's a little crazy, but wicked smart. And then you get Haley as VP, and she's going to deliver you 15% of the electorate. And if that happens, Joe Biden's done. With his increase in the black vote and the Latino vote, I mean, you got black rappers coming out like crazy now. I guess The Rock has disavowed Biden now, and now you've got Snoop Dogg coming out and saying, you know what, I have all the respect in the world for Donald Trump. The black vote is going to come out for Donald Trump. It's not going to be huge, but it's going to be over 12. And if it gets to 16 to 19, forget about this. This election's over. You get Nikki Haley's vote. You get the black vote. You get the Hispanic vote because of illegal immigration. This race is over. Over. But if you don't do those things, it's also over.
Okay.
That's why I've said Nikki Haley for 3 years, Mikey. 3 years.
That's who I've always wanted, but will Trump be able to put his ego aside?
Sure he will.
To do it.
What does Trump love more than winning?
Himself.
That's right. And winning is a part of his self-identity. So you have to understand he knows this. He's not stupid. Listen, I'm really good at hockey. I'm really good at analyzing hockey. I'm really good at nerddom and pop culture. But voting, this is where we're going to have some fun because you haven't seen me do this, but we will break down every district on voting night. I mean, it's actually a lot of fun to be able to see this because it's like picking ponies. But it's something I've always had a gift for. I know what the electorate looks like. I knew what it looked like 3 years ago. What he had to pick up in the swing states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio is going to have a little play, Georgia. These are the state. Missouri has a chance to be in play. Nevada, Arizona, Las Vegas, or Nevada. These areas, he depreciated in a few areas. Is in 2016, the overall vote, he flatlined between 2016 and 20. He held 3% of the female vote, 4% of the male vote as far as gain. Biden increased females by 2% and males by 3%. That's the 5% that turned the entire election. I don't care about any other demographic. Black, Muslim, doesn't fucking matter. Where you're from, men, women. Biden gained, Trump went down. If Trump is going to win in 2024, he is going to have to take that 2% of women from Biden and put it in his corner and 3% from Biden and put it in his corner in the male column. I want you to think about that. When you gain 6% of the African-American vote at minimum, when you gain the suburban vote of women and gain 2% of that, and then you put in Nikki Haley, which brings in moderates, independents, and Democrat blue collar, union, pro-teacher, pro-education, and the neoconservatives, which is a very large portion who don't vote anymore, this election's over. It's over. It'll be a landslide. But you don't get that with Carrie Lake. You don't get it. You don't get it with Vivek Ramaswamy. You don't get it with Ron DeSantis. They're already voting for Trump. And Trump knows this. This is why you know what, if you want to know what Donald Trump's going to do and nobody can fight this, he did it with Mike Pence. He didn't like Mike Pence. Mike Pence is a neocon. He picked Pence because it gave him the Christian right. And the reason he lost the Christian right is because he said he wants to grab him by the pussy. And the moment he said that, Christians were like, I'm done with this guy. So you bring in Nikki Haley. She's a woman. She's a minority. You may not like that, but identity politics is politics. And you got to play the game to get in the office, folks. So we'll see what he does. He's like, there's no way I'll pick Nikki Haley. I'm like, bullshit. She shows 15 points, Trump. You're going to do it. And the reason why you're going to do it is because there's no other person who will bring you that vote. There's not anybody in the race.
So how long do they actually wait before?
You wait to the
till after?
convention. You wait to the convention. You don't do it before then. You put Nikki Haley and RFK standing on stage in the Republican National Convention with a full-throated support of Donald J. Trump, and the Democrats are going to shit a purple Twinkie all over their frickin' dais. RFK, Nikki Haley, standing on stage, holding Trump's hand and having Nikki go, yeah, Donald Trump, let's go.
Okay, so if/when that happens, do you think that Biden would kick Kamala off the ticket if that happened?
Too late. Who do you put on? Newsom? No. Too much like Biden. That's the thing. They don't have anyone either. Hakeem Jeffries? Give me a break. There's nobody. There's nobody till 2028. Newsom's going to run in 2028, and you're going to either see Haley or Youngkin or DeSantis run in 2028. And everybody was like, DeSantis is done. The moment Trump's gone, you guys are going to run right to DeSantis. Give me a break. You guys are so full of crap. So
you don't think they would potentially swap Kamala for
who?
Michelle Obama?
Not a chance, dude. You think Obama, a Muslim, is going to allow his wife to surpass him? And maybe after he throws acid on her face. Listen, I don't care what anyone says. He is not an American, okay? He's not from Kenya. He's not a Muslim terrorist. All those things are bullshit, but he is a Muslim. And anyone who thinks he's not, you're a liar. Because you have not studied his history. You have not read his theses. You have not looked at who he hung out with. Just because he abandoned the Muslim religion does not mean he's not a Muslim. Obama, that's like saying a Japanese guy is going to vote his wife to be emperor.
But wouldn't that give him, because I forget what interview it was, where he was saying, oh, if I could have somebody in as my puppet,
it's
and I
Joe
could run
Biden.
things in the background.
It's Joe Biden.
But wouldn't that give him even more influence for another 4 and almost guarantee it?
No, because Michelle can't win. Do you really believe that unionized males are going to vote for Michelle Obama? Just because she's popular doesn't... Why do you think Oprah Winfrey hasn't ran? One of the most popular black women in U.S. history. And she's adored by most of the electorate when it comes to women. Why do you think that Oprah hasn't ran?
Because she doesn't want whatever skeletons to come out.
No.
Tarnish all of her freaking...
She'll have them killed. No, it's not that, Mikey. It's because, let's face it, and this is the truth. And one thing Hillary Clinton said that was right, and all these women are going to get mad at me right now. Don't you dare. Because I'm not saying you. But when it comes to most households, most women vote along with their men. That's just the truth. And that's usually what happens. In most relationships, the partners agree. Very seldom do you see a Republican and a Democrat stay married for longer than ever. So you'll see that views become alike over time. And it's not they said, you can't vote. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they matriculate that by osmosis over the years and formulate the same opinions. So if the guy is voting for somebody, usually the woman is. That's the way it kind of works. Because most women defer on politics to the male because they don't get involved. That's just the way it is. Now, nobody's going to vote for Michelle Obama. And that's why they haven't put her on the ticket. She's not electable. So if you take away Kamala Harris and you stick Michelle Obama on that ticket, can you imagine how small Joe Biden is going to look? How weak and ineffectual standing against Michelle. Because Michelle Obama is a lot of things, but she has a personality and she's magnanimous.
But do you think Joe would actually be able to make it another 4?
It won't matter. All he's got to do is make it till January. They don't care if he lives. They don't care if he survives his term. All they want is for him to get up there and get elected. And if he croaks in office, it's probably a blessing for them because then they're going to have sympathy votes for 2028. Then they're going to get everything they want passed because the president died. And any opposition from Republicans is going to be seen as callous towards a grieving nation. Give me a fucking break. They want him out.
See, and that's a lot of this I'm asking the questions.
I know. I love you. Come here. What's up?
You officially have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
I know. Isn't it great? Did you watch the video?
Yes, I did.
What did you think? How did your dad do?
You actually got everything completely accurate. great.
I know. Isn't that
No,
great?
it's great.
My
I was
daughter's.
like, when you said she bought, I was like, Scooter Braun? Where's Scooter Braun? And you said Scooter Braun. I was like, he got it right.
I know, baby. That's what I do. I represent the truth. Get out of my office. I love you.
Oh, was that the video she had to watch?
Yeah, she had to watch Taylor Swift because she's such a fan, and she's like, "Dad, you got everything right." I'm like, "Thanks, baby." So
I'm sure she's got it all written out. Like, okay, you got that, you got this. Yep.
This isn't hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
This would be like you discussing troop movements or CQB or explosive ordnance and demolition and IED removal. You know what you're doing. It's like talking about sled hockey.
Mm-hmm.
You're not predicting. I'm just telling you from a campaign strategy, from being involved in politics for 43 years of my life, studying this since I was a little kid. And I'm talking little kid. I mean, I ran Contra. I would come home from school and watch it, and I would study this, and Ted Koppel and Brokaw. I'd watch these guys. This isn't prediction for me. This is just looking at the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Haley, whether you like her or not, it doesn't matter. That is so immaterial to the vice presidential question. The question is can she bring 15% of the vote to Trump? And she can, and everybody knows that, and that's why they're so upset. It's because nobody wants Haley, but they realize that as the closer that that's why they want her to drop. That's why Trump's so pissed, because Trump knows he can't pick his own VP. He knows that. That's why he's like, drop out. Like when she tried to give that speech in New Hampshire, he's like, what is she doing? What's Bird Brain doing? She's going up there. She's a loser. And he's mad because he knows the longer she stays in, the more probability that she's going to be the VP. This is the way it works. It's always worked this way. It is a shock to me that Ted Cruz wasn't on the VP ticket, but Ted Cruz refused. He would have been. So they went to Mike Pence. Ted Cruz said, I will not be his vice president. That's why he never endorsed him. But Cruz was going to be on the ticket. But remember, Cruz was going to give him Texas, which he already had.
Oh, so he didn't bring anything to...
Yeah, like look at LBJ. LBJ gave Kennedy Texas. Look at Dan Quayle. He gave him the Harvard Ivy League vote. He wasn't going to have that because Bush was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and take a look at Reagan. And Reagan chose Bush Sr. because Reagan had too much Republican blood, but they knew that Bush was a neoconservative. Look at Biden. The reason why is because white South wasn't going to vote for Obama because he's a black man. So Joe Biden, who had supported Byrd and Thurman and other white nationalist types, they knew that Biden would keep supposedly Obama in check. Look at McCain. He was old and crippled, so he gets a pretty girl from Alaska named Sarah Palin who can't put two sentences together. It's always about what that person can do that you can't. There's no one better than Haley. Trump can't do Haley. He can't appeal to women, and he can't appeal to the moderates. We've proven that. Anyway, buddy, that's pretty much it. Tommy says, no, it was Kennedy. No, it wasn't. Kennedy didn't deliver Texas. Kennedy was losing in Texas, so he got it from LBJ. He delivered the South. Everyone knew that LBJ was a Dixiecrat, that he was 100% a racist, and he represented the old South. That's JFK did not win Texas in the South. LBJ delivered it to Kennedy and the election, period. All right, Mike, you got a minute. Anything you want to talk about? We're going to get off early, which is great.
Oh, we're actually going to get off on time. That's a rarity for us.
I promise that we would. I don't want to do these 2.5 hours every night. That extra 5 hours a week drives me crazy. It's too much.
No, honestly, this is good because obviously the politics is where I am lacking. So a lot of this is just me asking questions of either stuff that either I'm thinking or when I'm talking to folks, like that, like little rumblings that I'm hearing of like, oh, hey, what about this and that thing? Because I don't know the numbers. I'm not going to be able to remember them. So it's good to actually talk through it to see like, okay, this is what it's actually saying. Now, how do we get there? And then how long do we actually have to wait before it's like, hey guys, we already know how this is going to go. We just now have to go through the process and actually get there.
Let me ask you a question real quick. We've got a couple minutes and we're not going to go over. When would be the perfect time for Donald Trump to say Vivek Ramaswamy for vice president? When would have been the perfect time?
When they did, or as soon as he endorsed him, it's like the second he dropped out.
I want you to be my new vice president, Vivek Ramaswamy. Why? Well, because he didn't have that much. Dude, he had 2% of the vote. That's like putting Kamala on the ticket. The only reason Biden put Kamala on the ticket is because she's black and she's a woman, and it brought him South Carolina and North Carolina, which he was actually polling very low in because Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders in 2020 were winning the DNC election. They won Michigan. They won Wisconsin. Biden didn't even get like 3% of the fucking vote. So that's the thing, is that would be the time. Okay, so if it was going to be DeSantis, when would have been the time to mention? Right when he resigned, because he's fresh in the mind. Well, Nikki Haley is still running strong. No matter what you say, she's got 50% of the electorates. I think Donald Trump has 32. After Vegas, he'll pick up like 16 or 20. And she's got 17. She's running 50. If she keeps up with that, out of the 2,500 delegates, she picks up 1,200. She's going to be able to contest the election. She will contest it at the RNC. The longer she goes, the more likely she's going to be the vice president for Donald Trump.
Okay, so yes, she can keep going and contest it.
Yeah.
Is that almost smarter to keep that going so that way her popularity can go up to potentially get a few more percentage points?
No, because there's a cap. There's a ceiling cap. She'll reach her potential once after Super Tuesday. She's not going to pull an incredible amount on Super Tuesday. I would anticipate Super Tuesday, Trump walks out with probably 58 to 62% of the vote. Nikki Haley's going to pick up anywhere from 10 to 15%. If she picks up 10 to 15%, she's going to be your next vice president of the United States, because that puts Trump at 75% of the electoral base. That is guaranteed right there, 85 million votes. And that means Biden's going to have to get 92 million in order to compete. And the level of cheating that will need to take place to have that many people turn out on a non-COVID year with executive powers, allowing judges to change the state electorate with mail-in ballots, it's impossible. Do you know how excited I am, Mike, to be vindicated in 2024? Because I tried to tell everybody there was an additional, 65, 70 million votes almost from the highest election we've ever had. When this goes back down this year, and this election isn't northwards of 180 million people voting, and it gets back down to that 120 to 125, do you know how many apologies I'm going to get?
So why is it going to go down, though?
It's going to go down because there's not going to be mail-in ballots because of COVID. They used the excuse that people couldn't leave their homes. So what they did is they took to non-registered voters, people who were no longer registered, who had moved into the state and couldn't get to the DMV, and just mailed out ballots to them. That's illegal. It's illegal. No, it's not illegal because the judges said it was illegal, but it goes against the state constitution. The state legislatures have to go ahead and pass that law. So those provisions, those emergency declarative powers that the judges gave them have lapsed. They'll still do mail-in ballots, but not at the scale where they can send it out to unregistered voters like they did in 2020.
Gotcha.
So when that number goes down and people are like, I got to go to a polling station, I got to fill out an absentee ballot, screw that, I'm going back to not voting. And the Democrats lose all those votes, and Donald Trump will lose a bunch too. Yeah. And it comes back down to earth. This race was already at 90,000 votes in 3 states. You take out 30, 40 million votes, nobody knows what's going to happen. Why do you think the left is so scared? Why do you think the right is so scared? Nobody knows because we don't know what's going to happen. This is the conundrum. So the more he can get out of a smaller sample of 125 million, 120 million votes, still probably one of the biggest elections in U.S. history, 10 or 15% will decide this election. Now, if 180 million people vote again, which it's not going to happen, but if they do, well, then 10 to 15% is still a big number, but it's not necessarily the number it once was based upon the 7 million votes that Biden got over Donald Trump in the popular vote. That all turns to electoral college votes. So if this is 120 million vote, Donald Trump's going to win. If this is 185, 180 million, and all those people who did vote once vote again, it's not going to happen. But if they do, or we're in a wartime situation, because I've said that for the last 3.5 years. Biden wants to win. He's got to have a war. It's all really interesting, man. It's a big chessboard.
Yep.
All right, folks, we're going right on time.
Ooh, that's perfect. Look at that. Look at that.
Mike milked it for just long enough. Listen, I really appreciate everybody watching tonight. We had a good time. 1,000 people on YouTube. It took us so long after being demonetized, but we're back. We're crushing it, and we're having a good time. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow, you guys got a recorded show you just saw here. Do me a favor. Come back tomorrow. We will have Thursday night. You're not going to be here tomorrow night, are you?
I don't know yet.
Do Friday. Just I'll do solo on Thursday. Okay. See you tomorrow night, and then there will be no recorded show tomorrow, but there will be a recorded show on Friday. Remember the books. Go get your copy of the Documents of Freedom. It's back in stock. We got 13 left, $59.99, and you get the sleeve, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. Mike, I can't tell you how good it is to have you across the table again, man. We missed you. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll see you on Friday.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. See you soon.
Good night, everybody. Maybe. Hold on. Oops.
You got it?
Stall.
Press the button.
Stall.
You got to find the button.
I can't find the clothes. Where's the clothes? Where did it go?
Technical problems. There's things. There's buttons. There's a lot of stuff.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.